Hi class, this is Marshall Sponder, your professor, your lecturer for Web Analytics and Web Intelligence. And this is presentation 7, and I'll try to make it short because this is a short one. So in a previous presentation, we discussed what people really need, what marketers need, and then some of the best ways to get that. For example, we had this pyramidal thing. I think we've got somewhere. I don't know if we have it in this one. But anyway, we had it in the pyramidal thing in the previous one. So, and we also discussed that we can break down things into segments, right? So we have these value hunters. Web Analytics is great for that. And again, I have different videos that show you that. Superfans and how that's measured. You have to determine based on behavior, there's some tagging involved, but you can actually break down traffic very specifically. If you can define it, you can measure it, as long as you can collect it. And you have to do that. Now, Web Analytics has different types of data it can collect, and it's getting wider as time goes on. Like, for example, we can get demographics data now through DoubleClick, cookie data that's being read into Google Analytics. There are some limitations with it because it's really defined more for TV ad audiences and not so much for maybe your business and what it needs. So the actual breakdowns don't and how it's defined might not always suit every business, but that data did not historically belong in Web Analytics, but now it's there. We have visiting patterns, how people move around the site, and also abandonment when they leave. We have a persona or user type. We can do profiling of users. We can figure out what kind of person, what kind of customer it is. If we can define the pattern of the customer, we can create some way of reading that and determining what pattern they are. We can define based on, if we understand that someone that goes deeper into the site or someone that spends more time on the site, it might be more interested in the site or comes back several times. We can define an interest level, and we certainly, by doing reverse IP lookup, we can see what industry, what companies they're coming from. We can at least make a guess on what industry they might be working in. We certainly can track conversion data when they download or buy something. We can even see when they change what they're doing, or where the traffic, the place they're coming from, what they looked at on the website, what device they are using, or what browser they're using, and when and where they've come in from. So there's a lot of different ways we can segment the data. This is just 12 ways. And here's some examples that actually came right out of Adobe Analytics. I'll try to do some of them in another video. Someone who spent more than $600 on a retail website, and you could just define it as the visitor is greater than $600 US. Someone who males in the US who purchased an item. Remember, we could get demographic data. We could set the gender to male and country to the US. So a lot of these are in Boolean logic, which is something that those who do digital marketing, even those who do social media analytics, would be somewhat familiar with this Boolean 1 and 0, 1 and 0 kind of logic application. But when you search, I want this and that, or I want this or that, or I want this minus that. So there's a way to write all that, and so you have to kind of define your segments using that kind of thinking too. Collect visitors that have over 10 visits of a website, or visitors from a specific campaign that spend $110. So you have visit number equal 10, greater or equal, or campaign is a specific pages, and so on. So I just have examples of that. And then we need some kind of model to kind of figure out, okay, how are people moving through our site? What is just being aware of us? What does that look like? What kind of activities would they be involved in if they, number one, didn't know about us and are just becoming aware? How do we get them aware? Versus how do we nurture existing customers and how do we focus on them? So here's examples of both the kinds of marketing activities that they would be involved in, and the kind of ways to working to get them further down the funnel. All of this assumes that people are doing a funnel-like activity when, that web analytics was designed kind of for, when in reality in previous presentations we were kind of seeing that's not really exactly the way people are coming to a website, and not the real customer mindset is much more multi-channel and much more fragmented than that. So where this does work is when you actually have someone on the website and you're taking the beginning entry into the website as the top of the funnel, and then where they get to the way you want them to go is the bottom of the funnel. So if you consider it that way, then the funnel approach can work still. But when you take it outside the context beyond the website, it doesn't work so well. So just something to keep in mind, that the analytics tools were created for a somewhat different mindset that doesn't really exist anymore. And in that sense, they're more suited to Web 2.0 than Web 3. Even though they've been retrofitted to work with Web 3 and Web 4, they really don't work so well because you need a lot of other data. So examples of web tracking: visitors come to a website and we track their domain. When they leave, they go, we don't really know where they go unless they click on a link on the website that takes them off-site. Then we can at least see, but other than that we don't know. But we can see if the same visitor comes back because we have their cookie data. There's a lot of different types of traffic that analytics tracks, such as organic search and paid search. Organic and paid search are, the really difference in them is you need to tag paid search. Otherwise, Google and Adobe and any analytics platforms consider it all organic. So you really have to tell the search, the analytics, that the traffic from a paid search engine is that. So you have to have a campaign code on it. And same for email. And for social media, we all kind of know where that is now, so that's often built in. Direct traffic often doesn't generate a web referral, so it doesn't know where it comes from. It thinks it's either someone's typing it direct, there's no URL. Or someone is maybe a Flash element or an Ajax thing that doesn't generate a URL. So there's a couple reasons why there might not be one. And sometimes that could be known, and sometimes that's not desirable. So that would be something to try to work around. And then we have the need to put this all into dashboards. So there isn't really that much in this lecture or this presentation. It's that when we have a lot of different websites, like I'll tell you a story. When I worked at Monster 10 years ago or so, we had 54 different Monster, there were countries that Monster had websites in. So we had a monster.co.uk, and we had a monster.co.fr, and we had a monster.com, and we had, Monster China, and so on. And we had China HR, we had military.com. We had a lot of different websites. And so the question is, if you have different analytics profiles or different instances working, or different reporting suites work for each one, well, that's fine, because you need to have custom reports on that one. But what if you want one for all of your entire corporate organization, all your sites? And also you want to deduplicate some people that go from one site to another. You want to make sure that you're still capturing them. So you can now, and it wasn't always the case, easily roll up data for multiple websites that you're monitoring if you want to do some corporate reporting on that. You could do cross-domain tracking in web analytics. If they're your domains, you want to track them across 2 different websites of your own domain. You can do roll-up reporting, and that's supported, fully supported. Now, that's all I really have to say for this presentation. We'll go into this in more depth later. Cheers.